Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this IMI2 Call webinar on the topic Creation of the Pan-European Pediatric Clinical Trial Network. My name is Alessandra Paccamicio. I will briefly explain how to use GoToWebinar. After this, we will have my colleague Nathalie Seigneray from the IMI scientific team to introduce the IMI Call. Then the call topic will be explained by Heidrun Hildebrand from Bayer. We will then have a question and answer session and then a new feature of this webinar, potential partner speeches. So how to use GoToWebinar? You should see when you connect to the webinar two options to dial in. The first one is using a phone connection, and the second one is using the computer audio of your machine. Either way, during the course of the webinar, if you have a problem with your computer audio or the phone connection, you can switch between the two systems. If you're using your computer audio, please make sure that your speakers are switched on and unmuted, and test your sound to make sure that GoToWebinar is picking up the right speakers. The GoToWebinar panel is either a minimized version of it with a collection of buttons or expanded. You can expand and minimize using the red and white button. You can also see that you have a microphone button. It's gray because it's muted, and everyone is now on listen-only mode. If we unmute you for questions and answers, that button will be turning green. There's also a full screen button, and last but not least, the raise and lower your hand button that you can use to ask any questions or attract our attention in case of any technical issues. Asking questions is easy. You can send in a question in writing using the question box. Just type the text and click send. We will read out the question for you, and we will take any topic-related question on a first-come, first-served basis, while I will try to answer any technical question as we go during the webinar. But you can also speak to us asking a question by phone. In order to do so, please use the raise your hand icon button. You click the button, and then when it's your turn to speak, we will unmute you. And this is now the new feature that we will try out on today's webinar, potential partner speeches. We will allow the people that express their availability to do so 60 seconds to introduce themselves by stating their name, organization, how they can be contacted, and what is their idea for an application, or what is the contribution that can be brought to an applicant consortium. Please make sure that for those that do give pitches, you stay within the 60 seconds, or otherwise we will have to unmute you. This session will come at the end of the webinar, so after the question and answer session and also after the presentation session. Before we start, please note that this webinar may be recorded and published on the IMI website and IMI YouTube channel. The presentation slides will be published on the webinar webpage, and the participant list will be circulated. And now it's on to my colleague Nathalie Seigneray from the IMI scientific team.
Thank you very, very much, Alessandra, and good afternoon to all of you to this session. The webinar today will focus on the core topic and present the objective, the need for public-private collaboration, structure of the project, etc. It won't cover the rules and procedure. There is another webinar which is being organized at the beginning of January 2017, where the rules and the procedure will be presented. I would therefore recommend you to register to this webinar as well, and there is a link here where you can find the information. But before we explain what the core topic entails, we felt that it's important to remind you what is IMI as a partnership for health. The mission of IMI, which is a public-private partnership between the European Union and the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industry and Associations, facilitate open collaboration in research to advance the development of and accelerate patient access to personalized medicines for health and well-being of all, especially in area of unmet medical need. Now, what is important to keep in mind is that IMI is building an ecosystem for innovative collaboration. It allows the engagement in a cross-sector, multidisciplinary consortium to be at the forefront of cutting-edge research. It provides the necessary scale by combining the public and private funding, expertise, knowledge, skill, and resources. So it's important that any consortium builds collaboration on trust, creativity, and innovative and critical thinking. One of the advantages being in a public-private partnership and in a public-private consortium is really to learn from each other in terms of new knowledge, skills, and way of working. So the advantage of being part of a consortium is really to take part in a transformative research that will make a difference in drug development and ultimately to patients' lives. IMI is really this neutral platform where all involved in drug development can engage in open collaboration on shared challenges. So let me tell you a little bit the way the IMI project lifecycle works. So we have a topic which is defined, which is part of a call for proposal adopted by our governing board. The call will be launched in this particular case in the coming days. Then we have what we call the stage 1, is when the applicant consortium can start start forming with typical academics, hospital, mid-sized enterprise, regulators, patient organization, small and medium-sized enterprise, and form this consortium in order to submit short proposal. This is the competitive stage, since there will be an evaluation of the proposal we receive by an independent expert panel. Only the good or the first winner of this applicant consortium will move to the stage 2, where there is a merger with the industry predefined consortium to really work out together the finalization of the full proposal that will be again submitted and subject to evaluation by independent experts. If everything goes well, then the project can start. Now, submitting a proposal with this new call, there will be the requirement to use the H2020 portal in order to submit the proposal. In terms of the proposal template, it's available not only on the IMI website, but as well in the H2020 submission tool. For the first stage proposal, the page limit is 30 pages. And already here, at this stage, what is important to focus on, the template helps you to address the points that are expected in the proposal, relates to excellence, impact, and already some ideas of the implementation. Of course, this is a part which will very much be further worked out when there is the merger between the industry predefined consortium and the winning applicant consortium. These are the evaluation criteria against which your proposal will be evaluated to. I won't go through each of the single criterion. However, it's very important to keep in mind when you do your proposal to put yourself in the shoes of the evaluators to really see whether your proposal addresses this sub-criterion and the criterion under excellence, impact, as well as the quality and efficiency on the implementation. And keep in mind that there are some thresholds in terms of the scoring that the evaluator will use, as well as some threshold for each of the criteria, for the two first criteria. But again, more on the rules will be explained in the other webinar. Now, tips for writing a successful proposal. What is very important is that you read all the core relevant material. And of course, this goes without saying, the core topic itself. You need to begin forming your consortium early and using some ways to find a potential partner in your consortium through the partner search tool, as well as networking, events, etc. You need to provide the reviewers with all the information requested to allow them to evaluate your proposal. You need to finalize and submit your proposal early. And if you have any question, please contact the program office, not the EFPR topic writer. This is very important. Now, what are the common mistakes? In terms of admissibility, eligibility criteria not met, so first of all, that the submission deadline is missed, but as well the fact of having not considered the requirement of having a minimum of 3 legal entities from 3 member states. And important if you want to have your proposal successful is that it addresses all the objectives of the call topic text. And again, I would refer you to the evaluation criteria against which your application or your proposal will be evaluated. Another point is that proposal may be scientifically excellent, but will have a limited impact. That again may be linked to a lower rate at the criterion impact. Finally, it's important to already envisage at this stage, even if that will be more subject for the winning consortium at stage 2, but already to look at what would be the complementarity with the industry consortium, and already described this. Now, how to find partners? This is always a question that we do have. So they are not magic solution. However, there are many different tips that we could recommend you. First of all, to use your own network with your own contact, using the network with the fellow webinar participants, and we can see that today you are quite a number in this webinar, so that's a good opportunity to follow up afterwards. Use the partner search tool, and there is a link here to the IMI website where you can register. There is a German version for this partner search tool developed by the National Contact Point. Fit for Health as well is a way of finding partners. You need to get in touch with your local IMI contact point, and here you have a list or a link to where you can find these contact points. You can talk to your health national contact point as well. You can use our IMI LinkedIn group in order to stimulate some discussion as well on the proposal. Now, in terms of SMEs participation, IMI encouraged the participation of small and medium-sized enterprise in applicant consortia, as they offer a complementarity perspective to other organizations. For example, being closer to the market, SMEs can drive the tangible outputs of the project and help ensure that these outputs are sustained beyond the project lifetime, and therefore help lead to faster impact on healthcare. Now, you will hear from this particular topic that SME may have a role and may participate by providing expertise and experience in pediatric drug development, but also in forming clinical network, data knowledge management, project management, professional communicating, among others. So you will hear a bit more in a minute when there will be the presentation on the topic itself. Now, in terms of patient participation, again, IMI is very much encouraging the participation of patient and here in this case, parent organization. There are many ways where patient and parent organization can improve the project by working in providing input to the development and standardization of study procedure and processes, input on the assessment of feasibility clinical protocols, clinical meaningful endpoints and risk assessment, input into operationalization and monitoring of patient recruitment for clinical trials, wording of informed consents, community outreach and dissemination. Again, there are many ways where there can be an added value of having patients and parents engage in this topic, and you will hear a little bit more when there will be the presentation of the topic itself. So here is the last slide with the contact where you can liaise with IMI if you have any questions in relation to this presentation and this topic. So now we can move to Adrian Hildebrand from Bayer, who will present in more detail now the subject of this topic for the creation of a pan-European pediatric clinical trials network. Adrian, it's up to you.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, and thank you, Natalie, for turning over to me, and hello to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to present that proposal here. I'm talking on the behalf of the FBR consortium, where Bayer and Johnson & Johnson are driving that proposal. So, yeah, need for public-private partnership idea for this call. I think, as most of you know, over the last decade, the paradigm has widely shifted in pediatric research from protecting children from clinical research in protecting children by clinical research. And especially, I think, with the introduction of the Pediatric Clinical Trials Directive or the pediatric regulation in Europe, we have seen a steady increase of studies, mainly registration and industry-driven studies in Europe. And at the same way, however, I think infrastructure has not really developed with the same pace based on different factors, which at the end of the day lead to the dilemma we currently see that both industry and academic research are heavily competing about clinical trial sites, about the patients, and yes, about the resources we have on that sites. And our proposal here is really to find a common way and to use public-private partnerships to make that whole process more effective and bring together the different stakeholders here. And the proposed solution obviously is an European initiative that promotes really the delivery of pediatric drug trials through improved, more standardized processes in a coordinated and sustainable network, which then hopefully serves everybody involved in pediatric clinical research. And with that, we can go. The scope of this proposal, or the overall vision, or our vision, I would say, for this proposal, is really to create a large collaborative pediatric network that will facilitate the development and the availability of new drugs and other therapies, but also in the same time drives innovation and expands the knowledge about drugs which are already currently used in the pediatric population. This will be accomplished by not only advising on the best way to do this necessarily research, but really by actually building sufficient infrastructure, best practices, and actually do the studies. So that is really a network which looks at operational excellence in the field of pediatric clinical research, where we really and cooperate for all kinds of studies and by all kinds of sponsors, meaning industry, academic sponsors, and other organizations if we have them in Europe. Next slide, please. The objective of the full proposal is to build a network with a lean central organization which builds itself around national hub coordination centers, which should cooperate with multiple different trial sites, which in each member state of the European Union and between the countries. A further objective is obviously to install scientific advice and trial readiness groups to consult with sponsors on the scientific soundness and the feasibility of their proposals and to drive innovation. In parallel, develop and implement standardized processes and procedures and performance metrics for the initiation and execution of studies and maintenance of high-level performance across the network. Because I think what we all know is that for every clinical study, we all together currently reinvent the wheel every time we kick off a new study. And I think that's something where we think a network could help to ease that processes. Next page, please. One of the objectives is not only to create these processes and to implement them, but also test their viability and look if what we have implemented is really fulfilling the goal by measuring the performance of the network during the execution and the completion of the clinical trials from different sponsors and across therapeutic areas. Focus here is not so much the data coming out, but really performance metrics like number of sites, initiation. Do we meet quality standards here? That would be the objective for that. One very important point and very important objective is obviously to develop and to implement a business model which would survive and would be sustainable after the end of the IMI funding period, and which would then ensure that its network can consistently work and grow behind the IMI period. And also to prepare the network to become a member of the European Network of Pediatric Research at the European Medicine Agency, which is currently the network of the networks which sets the quality standards for pediatric networks in Europe. Next slide, please. The expected impact from what we propose here is on the one hand the access for pediatric patients to new experimental therapies in well-designed clinical trials. So we would hope that that would increase, but also to improve the efficiency in executing clinical trials, reducing timelines and reducing costs by reducing redundancies in processes, document preparation, contracting, what you name it. Improve the data quality and faster development of next generation medicines for children, enhancing the role of the clinician and, very important, patient and parent advocacy groups in planning and designing clinical studies, and by that make them more acceptable to all stakeholders involved. Broadening the access of academic medical centers and clinical faculties across Europe to new experimental medicine therapies for multiple clinical indications, and by that also broaden the basis for research within Europe. And contributing to regulatory policies around feasibility, innovative study designs, meaningful endpoints, risk-benefit evaluation, and also by this again making pediatric clinical research more efficient and meaningful. Next slide, please. Who we are, who is behind the industry consortium? We are a group of 10 international, multinational companies across Europe, different size, different scope. The indicative duration of this project is currently seen with 72 months. The indicating FBR contribution, in-kind contribution, will be in the range of 67 million euros. This includes both in-kind FTE contribution and a number of clinical studies who should be used to validate the network. And the IMI2 contribution will range in the same magnitude with 67 million euros. This also should include planning for at least one validation study for the network. Next slide, please. The suggested architecture of the project, and as Natalie already alluded to, that is one proposal, and I would see it more as a topic collection than purely work packages. So there is obviously the need for project management and oversight of the IMI project itself. There needs to be a group of people talking about the organization and the governance of the pan-European network, so of the network itself. We need a group of people who can talk business and create a business plan for both the expansion of the network and for sustainability of the network and sourcing of funding post the IMI period. Fourth bucket of topics is obviously the creation of scientific advice, feasibility, and innovation groups. There is a need for data coordination, for experts in data coordination, data quality standards. Another work package is obviously goes in the direction of network research network research personnel, education and training, and last but not least, planning and execution of clinical trials. So the real operational work is also needed to make that network viable, really an asset for that. Next slide. The expected contribution of the applicants, so of your organizations, is first of all obvious experience and know-how in conducting pediatric clinical trials, so clinical trial operations, clinical program management, where I would see that goes in a general direction of really operational expertise in clinical trials. Expertise in pediatric drug development, including clinical pharmacology, modeling, simulation, or regulatory sciences, so really to contribute to the advisory groups and to the innovation part of that proposal. Access to pediatric patients is one of the expected contributions. We look for physicians and other healthcare providers covering a wide range of different clinical pediatric subspecialties, because we don't want to build a second, just another indication-specific network. We're really looking for a network, for a more generalized network which can take on different indications. Then we look for patient-parent organizations who help to shape the way we do clinical research, we approach the patients, and that is done. Experience in working with and the use of standardized procedures and processes in clinical trials and across clinical trials, I would think. And then information technology and data management would be a plus. Next slide, please. What we also have, and I think that goes a little bit with it, is obviously experience, expertise with legal and clinical compliance questions around, including ICH, GCP aspects, strong project management, communication expertise, office administration, website administration, which then goes hand in hand with the organization of the IMI process. Organizations in scope of this proposal would be existing regional, national, indication or disease-specific networks, which also would include networks which currently more work in the adult space, but which have a very strong operational focus here currently already, and which are in the process to go into pediatrics or think about going into pediatrics. Then looking for another way of organizations are large children hospitals or medical centers. As Natalie said already, small or medium-sized entities with specialization in pediatrics, and then different kind of patient-parent organizations. That is what is in scope here for the applicants. Next slide, please. What can industry bring on the table here with regard to expertise? Industry expertise, and I will not read everything on the slide here, but obviously we have some background in program management, clinical trial design, including more innovative ways of designing trials like adaptive designs and use of modeling and simulation. We have clinicians, clinical pharmacologists, clinical scientists, which have experience working in this field and with pediatric studies. We have more clinical operations specialists here, so here called clinicians for communication, on-site visits, so everything around trial site management, clinical operation. There is quite some expertise in information technology, data management, to code lead, central network data coordination centers. We will bring in from our end regulatory expertise, and also I mentioned it already on clinical operations. Next slide, please. And we will bring industry expertise when it comes to business planning and development, signing contractual agreements, financial planning, legal counseling, and obviously the industry-sponsored trials to test the viability of the network. And while I was talking on the regulatory expertise from industry, I think it's worthwhile mentioning that also IMA and PEDCO have shown some interest, and as you can see from the project proposal, they are prepared to contribute to some of the activities of that call. Next slide, please. To summarize, I think key deliverables of the full proposals are to establish the structure and the governance of the IMI project. I think that's important to make it clear. Then set up and maintain groups of scientific experts to trigger innovation, so scientific advisory groups or also feasibility or trial readiness groups. Implement standing disease or condition-focused network clinical advisory groups, develop and implement standardized processes, procedures, templates, I would like to add, and performance metrics, to test the readiness of the network for multiple diverse clinical trials, to build and expand the clinical trial infrastructure across the European Union, to develop a business model and funding mechanism viable after the initial period of the IMI2 support, and to build a process that would allow to open the network for submission of studies from all kinds of sponsors and from different kinds of therapeutic areas, including also vaccines or devices if the desire is there. I think that is the end of my presentation, and I think thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Hildur, for your presentation. So this is now time for questions and answers. Let me remind you, you can send the question in writing or also ask the question over the phone in person, whichever way you prefer. So we can start with some of the questions we have already received. So we see Adela is asking what would be, if any, the relationship of the consortium with the ERN process and sites. So the ERN, I suppose, is the European Network of Reference for Rare Diseases.
Maybe I can start answering this question, and Adrian, you may complement it as you wish. So this is an excellent question, and we see now the start of the ERN. So I think, as you may know, for each of our projects, what we ask is that, of course, all relevant initiatives, project needs to be taken into account when preparing a short proposal, to really explore what could be the synergies or complementarity. So, of course, here with the ERN on rare disease, it is specific to rare disease, but of course there could be some relevance for the pediatrics. So what would be important is to explore whether synergies and complementarity could be found during the lifetime of the project, in order to avoid any necessary overlap or duplication of effort. I don't know, Adrian, if you want to add anything else on this.
No, I think your answer is exactly on the point. I think if we have overlap, and I'm currently not 100% aware of how far IIN also goes in really trial conduct, trial operations, but there is obviously a synergy as far as rare disease network initiative would look on pediatrics, because I think rare diseases is broader than the pediatric space, and pediatrics is a part of it. But obviously there is a chance for synergies and connecting and looking where overlaps and or where consortium can work together on that one.
Thank you, Natalie and Heidrun. So another question now by Anders, who is asking if there is a possibility for other industries to join the IMI project.
What is his industry?
Okay, but I can start replying. Of course, other industries beyond can join the applicant consortium, and certainly if you want to have more information, I would certainly recommend you to attend the webinar on rules of procedure. So there are some rules in terms of whoever can participate to IMI project, and then of course who is entitled to receive public funding. So there is certainly room for a type of industry to join. Now, whether they could be eligible or not for funding, that's a different matter. But if you want to know more, first I would recommend you to attend the other webinar on rules and procedure, and as well, once the call is published, to really refer to all documents that accompany the call for proposal, including the rules for participation.
Thank you, Natalie. Now a question from Joe Standing asking, when is the stage 1 application deadline? So Joe, this information will be made available once the call is launched. We expect the call to be launched in the very next few days, and all the information about deadlines will be clearly contained in the call text. So we really encourage you to follow IMI via all our communication channels, so our website, our Twitter account, LinkedIn group, our next newsletter issue, because as soon as the call is launched, we will communicate about it, and you will have all the details in the call text. Another question on SME. Ellen is asking if we could explain the financial opportunity for an SME. Are the resources made available?
Again, I would recommend you to attend the other webinar, where all the rules for participation, as well as the rules for eligibility and funding criteria, etc., will be more explained. But just in a nutshell, SMEs are eligible to receive funding. And in IMI2, we follow the rules of Horizon 2020, with the resources can be covered by 100%. But again, I would really recommend you to attend this other webinar, where there will be more information about these aspects on the rules.
Thanks, Natalie. Another question about the call process. Francois is asking how many proposals will be selected and granted after the second stage evaluation, and so what is the maximum eligible costs, and what would be the optimal size of a consortium?
So in terms of the actual number of proposal, as we said, only one proposal, the first one, will be invited to the stage 2, and will be invited to merge with the industry predefined consortium to build the full proposal. And so ultimately there will be one at the end full proposal resulting from the evaluation process. What is the optimal size of the consortium? This is, again, you have to remember that on one side, you need to ensure that all objectives of the call are being addressed by the applicant consortium, and the other side, you need to make sure that the consortium will be manageable. So you have to find the balance between having consortium members sufficient to ensure that all aspects of the call are covered, while limiting it to ensure that you can have an effective consortium. Adrian, I don't know if you want to add something here.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say what is the optimal size of a consortium. I work in other IMI projects, and I currently have one. They have something like 25 entities in the applicant consortium, and I think that is extremely challenging from an organizational point. So I don't know what is an optimal size.
Yes, I don't think.
I think what is important at the end of the day, I think we have quite a big call with quite some areas which need to be addressed. So I would think that a good diversity and a good reach into the different objectives or the different the different expertise is needed. But if that needs 10 or 15, or if 5 are enough, I think that really more may rest on what kind of applicants you have in that consortium. So I think a number is hard to say for me.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Now we have a question on the page limit of the application. The question is from Federico Martinon Torres from Spain, asking if additional information can be enclosed to a website link, for example, detailed country, network configuration, etc., etc. Anything that would basically sum up to more than 30 pages by itself.
So, again, you need to ask yourself the question, is it necessary information to be included in the proposal in order to address the objective of the topic? If you believe that this is adding a link so first of all, yes, there is this limit of 30 pages for sure, and anything beyond won't be read. Now, in terms of putting a link, you may put a link if you believe that that is an important information for the reviewer to have access to, but again, pay attention that you really address the call objective.
Thank you, Natalie. So now, as I see that we don't have any more questions at the moment, I would move on to the potential partner speech session. So we will start with the names that I've listed via chat message at the start. Each of you will have 60 seconds, and we really ask you to please stay within the time limit, otherwise we'll have to mute you. We wanted to start with Madeleine Gazarian from University of Sydney in Australia, School of Medical Sciences, but unfortunately I'm afraid that Madeleine may not be able to join us due to a connection issue, so she may probably get back to you in writing using the participant list that we will share after the webinar. So next one will be Ernesto Tomei, that I will unmute in a second. Ernesto, you are unmuted. I see yourself muted with your microphone, so if you can unmute your microphone, you will be then able to make your pitch, and you have 60 seconds.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My proposal is to give a contribution to create a pan-European network for the assessment of skeletal age using magnetic resonance imaging of aneurysm. As you know, MR is radiation-free procedure, and they can see much more than can you see with X-ray. And on the other hand, the atlases now in use are very old, obsolete, and does not take into account ethnic and socioeconomic procedure. So I'm proposing to replace completely all the methods. Then I can send to all the participants my documents to see what we have already done. In particular, in Atlas, very first Atlas, but very interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next one up is Marta Alonso. So Marta, I don't see you, unfortunately, on the list. I don't see you on the list of people connected at the moment, so if you are connected, please try to get in touch with us, otherwise I'm afraid that your connection may have failed. Next one is Joe Standing. Joe, I will unmute you right now, and you now have the floor, Joe. You have a minute, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Okay, so I'm based at Great Ormond Street Hospital in London and University College London, and also a member of the EMA Modelling and Simulation Working Group, but I would like to join a consortium as part of my academic and hospital affiliations. I have experience on PK/PD modelling, in particular extrapolation for defining doses, doing optimal design of PK sampling times. We're also working on standardizing CRS for PK/PD studies to make sure that we have standardized inputs and outputs. And I've also done some work on using PK/PD modeling to inform clinical trial design in children. So there are myself and my group based in London would be interested to join consortia with this type of expertise.
Thank you very much, Joe. Next one up is Krista Neuhammer. Krista, you are unmuted and you know the floor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello. I'm senior scientist at AIT, the Austrian Institute of Technology, which is Austria's largest research institute for applied research. And our research group called Molecular Diagnostics comprises 50 people and focuses on the development and validation of non- or minimal invasive nucleic acid or protein-based biomarkers for disease prognosis, prediction, or diagnosis. And we use high-throughput technologies such as DNA or protein, peptide microarrays, microfluidic, high-throughput qPCR, luminance assays, and next-generation sequencing. Besides blood-based diagnostics, we have a special focus on saliva-based biomarkers, including DNA methylation biomarkers, microRNAs, exosomes, and autoantibodies, which are kind of our special and key competencies. We would be happy to contribute apart from. Yeah.
Thank you, Krista. Next one up is Chiara Pallotti and Simona Angeloni speaking on behalf of the team of Dr. Nicola Ruperto. Chiara, I have unmuted you. You should hear me fine now. Yes?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Yes, I'm just speaking briefly on behalf of Dr. Ruperto. We are a part of the PRINTO, the Paediatric Rheumatology International Trials Organization, and we are based in Genoa at the Children's Hospital Gaslini. PRINTO is a non-for-profit organization, and we foster, facilitate, and conduct high-quality research in the field of pediatric rheumatology. We both work with pharmaceutical companies and also in academic trials. And as of today, we have enrolled more than 36,000 patients in academic trials. So our contribution in this call would be with our scientific and organizational knowledge in the planning and execution of clinical trials.
Thank you, Chiara. Next one up is Lise Borgward. Lise, I cannot see you between on the list of participants currently online. So if you can hear me, please send me a message. Oh, we found you, Lise. Sorry about that. So you're now unmuted, and you should be able to speak to us. Can you try, Lise?
Can you hear me?
You're a bit low. Could you please try and speak louder, please?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Lise Borgward, and I'm a chief physician at Copenhagen University Hospital. We are from Clinic for Clinical Physiology and Nuclear Medicine in PET, and I'm a leader of the section of Pediatric Nuclear Medicine. And we are a large center for pediatric nuclear medicine, and we have the most advanced methods and which we are offering. And we do more than 3,500 nuclear medical examinations per year, which is quite a lot. And we do a lot of research in this area, and we have many publications. So, I'm also a vice chair of the pediatric committee in the European Association of Nuclear Medicine, so I also have a large European contact area. And our expertise is in the clinical trials, and we're very interested in joining the consortium concerning areas like that.
Thank you very much. Next one up is Reinhard Hole. Reinhard, you now have the floor.
Okay.
Reinhard, I think there may be a bit of a conflict with your audio system. Can you try and speak again, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Reinhard Hall. I'm professor of pediatrics at Ulm University, Ulm in the south of Germany. I work in the Department of Epidemiology, and here we coordinate large networks of hospitals taking care of chronically ill children. The focus is children with diabetes, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, pediatric obesity, hypothyroidism, CAH. Overall, it's more than 300 centers, leading pediatric centers in Europe, a focus on Austria and Germany. And on the methodological side, of course, we have knowledge in statistical methods, in data coordination, aggregating data from different centers, and we would be happy to join the IMI.
Your time is up. Thank you very much for your speech. Next one up is Vimian Coate from Ligature. You have the film, okay. Vimian, yes.
Okay. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
So, okay, great. So Ligature is an independent foundation taking care of the program management of consortia and other complex partnerships. With a history of over 100 partnerships and over 200 partners and a combined budget of over 600 million euro, Ligature provides strong project management skill, including the needed infrastructural support. For this project, this means providing experienced people managing the consortium, ensuring effective stakeholder management processes and governance, providing extensive expertise in creating and governing a network with a lean, central coordinating organization, providing experience in creating data sharing IT infrastructures for the medical community, regulatory science expertise to support discussions with EMA, expertise in developing and implementing sustainable business models for the eventual network, and strong office administration and communication expertise, including website management. So we can contribute to the work packages 1, 2, 3, and 5. We are located in the Netherlands.
The time is up, sorry, William. Thank you very much for your pitch. Next one is Mark Turner. Mark, you are now unmuted.
Muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can, Mark. Thank you.
Hi, it's Mark Turner. I'm speaking on behalf of Penta Foundation. We're developing an applicant consortium that includes a large number of national networks and specialty networks so that we're able to cover all the competencies and all the deliverables outlined in the indicative call text. So we're looking forward to expanding our consortium and working with any partners who feel they can meet the goals of this call. Thank you. You can contact me through my email address, which is mark.turner@liverpool.ac.uk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. Next one up is Nicola Barberini from Biomeris. Nicola, I am unmuting you just now, and you should be able to speak to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Nicola Barberini. I work for Biomeris. Biomeris is an SME, spin-off of University of Pavia in Italy, near Milan. We have a strong experience in supporting a research project with informatics solution, and in particular we can contribute to the consortium providing an open source informatics solution for supporting the clinical trial collaborative network. You can contact me at my email nicola.barberini@biomeris.com.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Next one up is Maria Luisa Scattoni from the Italian National Institute of Health. Maria Luisa, you should now have the floor. I see you are muted from your microphone, so if you can please unmute that will work out. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Maria Luisa Scattoni from the Italian National Institute of Health. We are the scientific and technical public body of the Italian National Health Service, and we have a large experience in managing and coordinating clinical trials, either from the research point of view than the statistics one. And we are actually coordinating the Italian Network for Early Recognition and Diagnosis of Autism Spectrum Disorders, establishing a network between the pediatrician and the child psychiatrist unit throughout the Italian territory. So we can either be involved in the managing and coordinating the Italian networks. And you can contact me at the email address marialuisa.scattoni@iss.it.
Thank you very much, Maria Luisa. Next one up is Aureli Soria Frisch. Aureli, you are muted, and you now have the floor. 1 minute, please.
Hello, good morning to everybody. My name is Aureli Soria Frisch. I'm representing the companies, the Neuroelectrics and Starlab. These are two SMEs companies placed in Barcelona. We are experts in neurotechnology and also in EEG, ERP biomarkers. So we analyze data for setting up these biomarkers and also the protocols for acquiring the data. So we are currently conducting some trials in pediatric epilepsy, ADHD, and autism, both in Barcelona and abroad. And we would be happy to contribute to the databases. You can contact me at info@starlab.es. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one up is Anders Rein. Anders, you are now unmuted.
Thank you very much. I'm speaking on behalf of the Swedish and Nordic networks. Our basis for the contribution is a broad scientific and clinical interest and experience in clinical drug development. This is actually part of our professional activities. It's based on work at university hospitals in Sweden and to a large extent also with contact with the primary care. The Swedish Medical Products Agency is very supportive and has actually arranged a meeting 2 years ago at which Association for Children and Medicines was inaugurated. Dr. Estelle Naumburg, pediatrician of Umeå University, is the chairwoman and I'm the vice chair. I myself is active as a clinical pharmacologist at Karolinska Institute and have experience. I started a 20-week international course in clinical drug development in the mid-90s, and this course is still running with a modified curriculum. Research-wise, we are interested in kinetics, metabolism, pharmacogenetics, therapeutic drug monitoring, pharmacovigilance, epidemiology, and IT-based clinical trial protocol
Thank
design.
you very much,
I would very
Anders.
much like to join the IMI2 consortium.
Thank you, Anders, again. Next one up is Ellen Half-Davis. Ellen, I have unmuted you. I see your microphone is muted. If you unmute your microphone, yes, that should work.
Hi, thanks everybody. I'm Ellen Half-Davis with an SME specialising in digital health, and we'd like to explore the possibility of using wearable devices and mobile phone apps to monitor patients during clinical trials, linking up with innovative methodologies and the use of data aggregation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Now we're going to give the floor to Adela Cagnete. Just one moment, Adela. And you are now unmuted. Yes, you should be able to speak first. Yes.
Can you hear me?
There's a bit of an echo, Adela.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I think.
Okay.
Yes, now it's better.
Okay, I'm Adela Cañete. I'm talking on behalf of my institution, La Fe, in Valencia. We are leading some research projects and European clinical trials in pediatric rare diseases, and we went through the draft, and we think that we can add some value to work package 4 for interfacing and home care data transfer to the clinical history, and probably work package 6 and 7 due to our experience as proof of concept. We have several proof of concepts to be ready to go. So, and also I think simulation for education too. Basically, I think that you can contact me through my email or international at iislafe.es.
Thank you very much, Adela. Thank you. Right on time. And the next one is Paul Houston. Paul, I have just now unmuted you.
Hello, thank you very much. Yes, Paul Houston from the CDS Europe Foundation. We're working on a couple of IMI projects right now, eTrix, which is infrastructure, and data management, curation, and the application of standards. So we'll be very interested in taking that experience to plug into a network to look at pediatric trials so we can apply the CDS standards. We also have one for clinical trial registration. We've done a first draft of that, but we'll be very much interested in working with the EMA and other people to fit around sub-modules around categorization for pediatrics. So it'd be great to join some of the consortium out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. And now I see that Anna Blanco had her hand raised. Anna, in case you would like to ask a question or give a pitch, you are now unmuted and you can speak. Hi, Anna, can you hear us? No, I'm afraid it won't work, Anna. In case you want to ask us a question, please do so via chat, or else raise your hand again in the next couple of minutes. Now we have Agnieszka. Excuse my pronunciation, which will probably be wrong. Supriniak. Agnieszka, I have unmuted you.
Thank you. So my name is Agnieszka Czupryniak. I work for KCRI, which is a clinical research organization. So we can bring to consortium our experience and know-how in conduction of clinical trials in the pediatric area. Obviously, we propose all the services. It's in this area. It's my clinical design, setup and launch, study conduct and monitoring, data interpretation, regulatory affairs, as it was asked, and obviously data management. So you can contact me by email. It's agnieszka.czupryniak@kcri.com, or you can bring me by phone, which is available in our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agnieszka. Next one, and I think also the last one, is Maria Grazia Santagati. Maria Grazia, I see you've raised your hand and I have unmuted you in case you would like to give a pitch. Maria Grazia, if you can hear us, you're unmuted, so you could ask a question or give a very brief presentation. Or perhaps the hand was just raised by mistake. So I think we are done with our pitch sessions for today. We just got a suggestion by Jason during the pitch session, who was actually suggesting that we may mention the autism topic that is also included on call 10. Natalie, would you like to add something about it?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. For some of you who have mentioned in your pitches that you have as well expertise and some aspect related to autism, and that you may already be aware that as part of the call there is a topic on autism that you may wish to look at more carefully. The webinar has already taken place. However, as you may know, all presentation and recording for webinars are made available on our website. So have a look at it as well and see whether you would be interested in that particular topic as well.
Thank you, Natalie. Now we have a question from Charlotte Barker asking if it would be acceptable and permissible to be a partner in more than one bid.
So I don't know if you refer in more than one bid, in more than one proposal for a same topic. Of course, there is no rule preventing you to be only part of one applicant consortium. Now, of course, you have to make sure of what will be your contribution for this particular topic or proposal itself. Now, if of course you submit yourself as the leader of one applicant consortium and part of the applicant consortium, that may be looked a little bit weirdly by the experts when looking at the short proposal. But overall, there is no rules preventing you to be in more than one proposal.
Thank you, Natalie. We've come to the end of the Q&A session and the pitches are also done. So, Heidrun, would you have anything to add before we close?
No, not directly. I only would like to thank, and I was impressed about the pitches. Were quite a lot for that first try, and quite some which sounded very, very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to see the applications in some months. So I'm really excited that we get to start here.
Thank you very much, Heidrun, and thanks for the presentation. Thanks for your time today. Thank you to my colleague Nathalie Seigneret, who will be the science officer looking after the topic resulting from this call on the pediatric topic. Thank you also to my colleague Catherine Bertha helped during the webinar today, and we wish you all the best for your potential applications. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.